And it's a great welcome back to the shop today. We're going to finish the Edge 540 today, at least all the building parts of it. Still got a couple of things left, so let's just get started. Alright, so as usual, we want to go over some of the materials and supplies that we need. Obviously, we have the kit. It comes with hardware, but let's just go into things. So obviously, today we're going to be focusing on the nose. It comes with bolts already in place, so you don't have to unbag anything. Just make sure that they're free and clear, and go ahead and use a tap if you have to free up those blind nuts. There is some foam padding back here, which super nice touch. Moving on, we've got our standard blue thread locker, which we're going to need for assembling the motor. This is the Sunny Sky 4120-7 550 kV. Really nice motor. Had this in another plane and unlimited vertical for days. We're using the Mantis 125 amp SBEC with a 5 amp BEC. Should be plenty for the 4 servos in this airplane. I've got a true turn spinner which will fit like a glove, and of course we're going with my tried and true Zor props that are absolutely my favorite. Down on this end we have hardware for the cowl. Not sure what that all means. I'm guessing that these are some sort of metal spacers for the motor, maybe for the cowl, but also there are washers, which probably is a good idea for mounting the motor, but also there are screws. So of course we've got our drill. For those who may not be familiar with these, this is like a push drill. So you push it down and it spins the drill. It only accepts this really tiny drill bit. So yeah, anyway. I use that a lot because using a power drill is just overkill for these models. So I have much more control over making my holes, because we're going to have to make holes in the fiberglass as well as the fuselage for the screws, because you don't want to just screw a screw directly in. You want to make sure you've got a proper hole there first. Obviously a screwdriver, cutting instrument just cuz, an Allen key. Oh yeah, because these are Allen head bolts, and then this for the prop nut, and this for, I will use this once, and it's to cut a zip tie. All right, so that's everything. We're gonna get the speed controller and the motor mounted first, and then we'll go over the cowl, and I think it's all gonna be really straightforward. Take your time on this. Because this is where you have the big spinny blade of death, there are things that can go wrong, and I don't want that to happen, obviously, for you. But things can have really tight tolerances and clearances, and sometimes you may end up taking things apart and putting them back together. Like, so for example, when I put the cowl on for the first time eventually here today, I've got to make sure that the spinner backplate isn't touching the cowl when it goes onto the motor. So obviously, you know, you've got to work these things out as you build. Because I'm using all the recommended hardware, with the exception of the prop and the spinner, everything should fit fine, but not always. With how this kit has been going together so far, it wouldn't surprise me if there's plenty of clearance. Anyway, I'm gonna be quiet now, and I'm gonna put you on the tripod, and we're just gonna get this done. Couple things I should note. I should have noted before, but I didn't because I forgot, because, you know, I'm human and all that. I did already put in a receiver. I've got an X8R since I fly free sky. I've got an X8R receiver in here with a 3D printed antenna holder for my PCB antenna. And so yeah, everything is set up like another plane that I have. It's just a basic setup that I need to go through and program still, but yeah. So sorry, forgot to fill you in. Simple Velcro strap that a simple piece of Velcro that I had laying around in a drawer. So that's what's holding it in, and then I'll drop a CA on the 3D printed mount for the antenna. So we're good. Also note that you want to try to keep your antenna away from evil here. Carbon fiber, we know likey. It's great stuff, but it's bad for radio. So try to keep your antenna as far away as you can, reasonably, from carbon fiber, because it interferes. No good. So what we're going to do next, since we've got the motor on and it's spinning in the right direction now, you saw me play with the wires a little bit and confirm the correct direction, is we're going to put screw holes in the cowl and in the fuselage. Now, some airplanes, when they come with instructions, they have a little bit of instruction on this. Sometimes it just says to fit it, to center the hole of the cowl onto the motor, okay? Fortunately, OMP Hobby thought ahead on this. I'm telling you, some of the best engineers. There are little tiny pinholes, pinpricks in the covering already. And there were the same pricks in the cowl that I already enlarged with the drill bit because, well, you couldn't hardly see them on camera. So yeah. Anyway, they're already there. Makes your life a million times easier. So getting the cowl on is not going to be not going to be the ordeal that it can be. So a couple of things that I have to also talk about before I get into doing work is, so I've mounted the ESC up under the motor, okay? Just held on with a zip tie. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. It's really secure and not going anywhere. What's cool though is I've got all of this inlet area, and it can travel through the firewall and through this box. I mean, the air can travel through. There's nowhere for it to go. There's no openings in the fuselage for the air to come out and vent. So we got to cut a hole. And what we're going to do is down here in the fuselage, so here's the tray where the receiver is. Down here in the back, there is a ply. Ooh, let me get my drill bit. All right, so this is a tube that holds the wires for the elevator and rudder, right? So if you look here, this covering has no balsa framing. There's balsa framing here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip the airplane over, and I'm going to use my covering iron to seal this covering really, really well to this balsa former, and then I'm going to cut that out. Okay, so can't get the camera to focus, but I'm going to cut that hole of covering out so that we have a vent out of the fuselage, so that we get ESC cooling, motor cooling, battery cooling. High performance airplane needs proper cooling. Summer gets hot. Okay, so then on top of that, what you also have to do is keep in mind that you generally want the area, okay, the area of your exit needs to be about twice as big as the area of your inlet. So if you add up the area of this inlet and this inlet and this inlet, you want the area of your outlet to be twice as much as that. That's what's going to help promote airflow through the fuselage, okay? Just a little tip along the way. So I think we're going to be about 1.25 times, but it'll be okay. As long as it's more than the inlet area, you're on the right track. The ideal ratio is 2 to 1. So 2 outlet to every 1 inlet. Okay? So I'm going to shut up now and get back to work. Okay, so everything is assembled. All of the hardware is installed, and just want to show you the bottom of the fuselage because pretty sweet. So I had supposed right because I opened up this hole, and what do we find? A piece of balsa blocking off the entire back end. So this is supposed to be opened. It's supposed to be opened. I'm convinced of that. So open that hole, make sure you have plenty of airflow, and everything will be fine. So at this point, the only thing really left to do is to program the radio. So really what you do is you just get yourself a ruler. And the recommended throws usually are done in a throw, so like 1/4 inch up, 1/4 inch down, or whatever. This one's probably on ridiculous, so you know, I'll go through the motions of it and let you know what I settle on, just based off of TLAR. Okay, so TLAR, that's an acronym. That looks about right. TLAR. Yeah, so like the more that you get experienced and build models, you get a better feel for TLAR. Particular airplanes require a certain amount of throw, and with TLAR, you really can. You set up enough planes that you just know, oh yeah, that's about right. It's just an experience thing. So I think that the bottom of the airplane looks pretty great. We got these little black dots here that are sort of like simulating exhaust holes, which is pretty cool. I've got a whole bunch of graphics, like stickers I can stick on here, and not quite sure yet what I'm gonna do, but you know, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. And let's just go ahead and get the radio out, plug in a battery, and set up some basic throws. I'll install one wing because the other wing is going to be the same. But yeah, get started. And we're back. All right, so throws that I am going to use, this is all high rates. Okay, so high rates, aileron is going to be 4.5 centimeters, and the elevator is 2.5 centimeters, and the rudder is whatever. The rudder has like crazy throw because of, I mean, look how long the rudder is. I mean, that's like, I do not have small hands. So start with like, I don't know, 5 centimeters, mostly because you're dealing with your steering angle, and just see how the airplane flies. Obviously, this airplane is capable of crazy 3D aerobatic stuff. So my throws, this is what seems reasonable to me based off of other airplanes of this type and style. I literally have one other airplane that, put it this way, I just cloned the programming from that airplane, and it looks about right on this airplane too. Same size, like 60-inch wingspan. So we'll see. The elevator doesn't look like much, but that, again, like, I'm not trying to do crazy 3D maneuvers, so you don't need that much elevator, especially for your first flight. I definitely recommend Expo. So I am an Expo man. My first flights, I'm usually around 60% Expo, at least 40% Expo. And the reason that I do that is because jittery hands. And when you have jittery hands, you tend to do things inadvertently that you're not thinking you're doing. Now, I've flown a lot of airplanes for the first time. I've made a lot of airplanes, and I still get jittery hands. It's my adrenaline rush. So take it for what you will. It's just something I do. Now, keep in mind that some radio systems with Expo are a little bit different. So, for example, if you're running a Futaba radio, I recommend negative Expo. They're backwards of what everybody else is. So keep that in mind too. Again, radio systems vary from airplane or from manufacturer to manufacturer, but they all do the same thing on your airplane. So make sure you read your manual. This isn't a catch-all, if you will, for radio systems. There's no possible way I could do that. And there's no possible way anybody would want to sit through all of that. So this airplane is pretty much set up. The only thing left is, I don't know where the center of gravity is. I really don't. So I'm going to check on that, and I'll get back to you, I guess. Yeah, let me go see if I can find the center of gravity on this airplane. All right, so got in touch with TJ over at Buddy RC, and he was able to confirm with me that the center of gravity is 80 to 95 millimeters from the leading edge of the wing, which is here, right? So 80, 95 millimeters. So that's essentially right over the spar. Essentially, it's more centered over the aft part of the spar. So if you get into like a center of gravity balancer, you can essentially hook a piece of wire underneath the spar and just test it that way. So as you can see, I've got my batteries. So this is 6S. I'll wire these in series. So this is 2 3S packs. So 6S 6000, and I've got these shoved all the way back, and it's essentially balancing perfectly. So that's good. So from here, that's pretty much everything. I think we're set to do a maiden flight. Again, take your time with things, and this airplane is not a beginner airplane. Okay. This is something that's quite advanced, and will do really advanced things, but these are really good principles in terms of like building an ARF out. Again, really impressive airplane here. Really impressive engineering and thought behind everything about it. I'm really looking forward to putting it in the air and see what it can do. So until next time, make sure you guys are checking me out on Instagram. I'm trying to post more regular updates. We've got flying season coming up, going to events, so going to be posting more content there, and I'm going to be doing some more building projects. And let's see if we can get some more projects done on the Mustang, maybe. Wouldn't that be nice? Yeah. So until next time, guys, continue to work on assembling your flying works of art.